Good evening and welcome to Marshall Meh, episode 10. So, tonight we're going to have multiple guests on, and they'll be in increments in discussing seminar planning and what it entails to have a successful event. So, the coordination, advertising, promotion, all that good stuff, right? And so, you
Sleepless
got a
night.
couple guys. You got a couple guys coming on, but I'm not sure if Rodolfo is going to make it. So he said, in event he does not get on, speak for him.
I was just chatting with him. He's trying it again.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, if he copies and pastes it, it should give him cues to that uh, jump on and then give camera and all that good stuff. Yeah. So
Sounds good.
hopefully. Well, in the meantime, do you want to go with Filippo or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's start with Filippo. Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Nice,
Hello.
Filippo.
nice to see you, and thank you for having me on your broadcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Honor
My
for
pleasure.
me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Dean said no. And I said, if we don't get Filippo on here now, I quit.
Thanks so much for being on my side.
I have to, right?
Renee's known to make up stories. So imagine that.
It's it's an idea that we've had for a while now because there's a lot of events that are happening that some people might not hear about because they're not in, for example, our circle.
Yeah,
So I thought, why not have a podcast where we talk about people's events and so they can promote it and maybe get some more interest or maybe even spark somebody who wants to maybe do one to give them some inspiration sort of thing because you've been at this for some time now too, right?
yeah, that's perfect for me. Inspiration is the thing that make the engine work. So because you get information from people all over the world and you say, okay, this guy is able to do these kind of things in that area. So it can be something that can push you to make something similar, maybe in a different way in your kind of country or in your area with your friends or people that want to join. So why not? That's perfect.
Speaking of which, can you just give us a little bit of your history, where you're from and everything else and what you're training in?
Okay, so I'm a Sardinia guy and come from Sardinia Island. Or I suppose 99% of the people that can watch this broadcast, they maybe don't have any clue about Sardinia Islands. In any case, it's the second biggest island of Italy. So we
Okay.
are around into the Mediterranean Sea. I started joining that Dog Brothers maybe something like 18 years ago. I met for the first time Lonely Don Benjamin in Milan. It was in a seminar, and I was totally shocked about his way of teaching. And from that day, I started to try to move and take as much plane as I can, and trying to attend as so many seminars that I can do it. I travel in UK, Germany, Switzerland, all around Europe, just to follow that guy because it was really a big inspiration on me, and mostly about the way he was teaching because I never got that kind of teacher in my life before. And after that, it was a time that I took my wife, that also my wife is a full dog brothers, and then we flew to LA just to make our first and only US gathering over there. And that's my little story.
Did you go to a tribal or did you go to a like an open?
It was an open one.
Okay,
And then I'm being also one of my students.
nice.
Yeah, we made 2 weeks in New York City just for vacation, and then
Mhm.
1 week in LA, and say, okay, just make vacation. The last 2 days fighting and whatever it goes,
Let me get
then
on a
take
plane.
the plane back home, and because we don't want to get broke in US just for some kind of injuries, and that
So
was
you're in the Dog Brothers for a while. Like, at what point did you think I want to do a training camp?
I mean, as I told you before, my the only way that I was able to uh, take in the stuff from that dog brother was to join the seminars, and then I started like some sporty days or seminars around Europe, and then I knew that there was an event that was called a camp and was in Germany, and then my brain just exploded. It was a blast. 5 days, 1 week of full training on the thing that I love, and that was perfect. And it was in Lorelei. After a couple of here, the place where it was used to take the camp place was shut down, and then every Benjamin was without any kind of spot. And I jump out with the idea and say, "What about Sardinia? We can have vacation because we are in the coast. We have the sea and stuff like that, and people can vacation and also training." So I book a resort. He say, "Okay." I try to minimize all the cost, and then my way of doing was full board, where you can have sleeping place, food, and training. So once you spend that amount of money, you don't have to think about anything. Once you join, you have all, and that's my way of doing things.
It's awesome.
Um,
That's
And
awesome.
when you
this year is the 10th year, the 10th edition, and it's last for very 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 long time. And I can imagine from day one that we arrived till that day, and that was awesome for us.
so I got okay. Rodolfo's in, so he can't hear me, but I'm gonna bring him up and just tell him to hang tight. But
Mhm.
why do that? Just a question for you, Filippo. How like what I know you said you started 10 years ago. Like what did you put in place to get the word out there? So if folks are watching this, if they have an idea they want to do this and they're using this as a resource, like what ideas could you give or help suggestions like how to go about doing this besides obviously you're putting a flyer out there, like how would you go about getting folks there?
Okay, so if I understand well, my English is not really perfect. So you are telling me which is my suggestion to other people to organize things like that somewhere else.
Yeah, like if they wanted to do something and they wanted to
They are in
maybe
place.
model
Yeah.
off you. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I mean, there is different way to organize a camp like this. It's all about people, what people want to expect. If you want to go really low budget, it should be also enough a campsite. But you have to understand that after training, maybe you have to cook, and you spend a lot of time, a lot of energy also about this kind of stuff. And then you have low budget, and that's everybody can join it. My opinion at the really beginning was okay, we try to get that everything is done by other people. You pay a certain amount of fees, but you have not to think about anything. Once you are there, you have food, 3 meals per day. You have some kind of resort hotel that you can stay in for in a quadruple room or in a double room or in a single room. It's all depend about your needs, and that's one way. Or otherwise, there is another place in Germany where you are into the forest. You have to take a tent with you, and you do one weekend like just like that. First of all, for me, it's just speak with people, have some kind of budget, and say, what do you prefer? This kind of budget, and we have this, and this, or this one you pay a little more, and then you have these facilities, or even a little bit more, and then you have to take a decision, and then you have go straight, whatever it takes, whatever it goes, never come back. There are some people that can say, okay, it's too much, I'm not able to do it, but other people can do it. Or on the contrary, you have less service and people maybe they cannot come with their own family. At the camp that I organize, there are people that came with the whole family, with little kids, with a wife, with a girlfriend, and sometimes they don't train at all. They take the time just for a little vacation. And that's one point. They pay a little bit less because there is the no training
That's a
stuff.
great
So,
idea.
and you can share a little bit. I mean, in Italy, in Sardinia, it's a little bit cheaper, I suppose, than in US. For example, I got last year one guy from US and say, but the price is for one day or for the whole camp. I say, no, it's for the whole camp. And he say, oh, that's great because I think that the money that I pay for the whole camp, maybe I will spend in just one day somewhere in US. And say, yeah, that's perfect. So he brought his wife.
Nice.
And and you have also to pay the helpline and
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Go
I
ahead.
think like besides martial arts, you're also promoting like the culture and the culture of Dog Brothers, and also uh, how it is a family. It's like Europe is super tight. That's one thing
yeah,
I've always noticed in there.
that's perfect because after the camp every day at the very at night we pack all together. Somebody who drink a beer, somebody who drinks something like me. I'm an alcohol free guy. I drink juice or something like that. But it's just a sense of community. You can tell stories. You can.
You should try the bubbly. I don't know if you have it there. You should try bubbly. It's
I
very
have
good.
just water
Yeah,
over
fish can't
here.
drink.
Well, this is mineral water, but
Yeah.
it's
Okay. You can. Okay. But you can speak with other people and then you can have more ideas. People that came from different country have different kind of culture,
yeah.
and in that way you
Hey,
can
Mark.
try to have some communication, some training, some trading stuff. And for me it's great. There was one time that we was 10 guys say 6 different language, and that's awesome.
Hey, we
That is awesome.
got a couple more minutes because we got Rodolfo. But one thing I wanted to ask you, did it gradually over the years like increase as far as enrollment? Was it a slow kind of takeoff and then it grew?
No, I mean, from the very first time, because I mean, I didn't start from zero because we just switched from Germany to Sardinia.
Okay, so okay, gotcha.
The price was a little bit higher here in Sardinia, but the service was
A lot better. Yeah,
a little bit. I mean,
yeah, you
better
got ocean. I mean, you
because
got
you are in a resort. It's like a restaurant. You have 5 kind of dishes for the first for the first dishes, second dish, 5 different one, sweeters, water, everything, and that was a huge transformation. And then I start with something like 25, 30 people, and the same goes every year. Just last year, because it was Top Dog, one of the trainer, it was some more people over there, but
nice.
almost is the same amount of people.
Wow,
So
wow.
before you go, can you tell us the name of your gym?
My gym is
Also the
called,
how to get a hold of you? Through like is it Facebook, Instagram, or
my gym is called Sailing Gym. You can find on Facebook and Instagram. At the camp, you can find all the details in the Dog Brothers Europe, or even on Facebook and Instagram, or in Italian Dog Brothers Italia.
send us the link so we can post it after
Yeah,
too,
we'll post
please.
it right.
I
Post it
don't
in the
know
comments.
where to send the link, but
Send it
I will send it right away.
to our
If-
conversation. I said you
yeah,
do it
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
And
course.
also, like just as an outsider, Filippo posts a lot of videos as well. There's quite a few out there. Check him out. Like I really dig his boxing videos. There's some really good stuff in there. So
Thank you.
definitely, beyond Dog Brothers and stick fighting, there's a lot of other stuff that he does. So it's go out there and check it out.
Awesome. Well, nice meeting you. Thank you for coming on.
Bye bye. Have a nice day. See
We'll
ya.
do it again sometime.
Yeah. Hope to meet all of you guys. You are more
I'm
than
trying to make
welcome.
it to Sardinia, but every time I do, I get injured.
Thanks. Bye bye. Have a good
Ciao.
night.
All right. Awesome. And we got Rodolfo who made it on here, which is great.
Nice.
Okay, here we go.
Hello.
Finalmente.
¿Qué tal, René?
Todo bien, todo bien. ¿Y tú?
Bien, muy bien.
Muy bien. All right. Rodolfo, ¿quieres hablar un poco de dónde empezaste a hacer artes marciales? Y también dime qué te dio la idea de empezar un surf camp y cuánto tiempo ya es que lo haces. Si quieres hacerlo en inglés, lo puedes hacer en inglés o puedo traducir yo, como quieras tú.
Un poquito complicado para mí en inglés, o sea que vas a hacer de traductor.
Bueno. So I asked Rodolfo just to ask, say a little bit about himself, like the martial arts that he's trained in.
Okay.
And what gave him the idea of starting a surf camp.
Nice.
Ok, yo empecé con las artes marciales con 8 o 9 años.
He started martial arts with 8 or 9 years.
¿Ya? Y después abandoné las artes marciales durante mucho tiempo.
And then he abandoned martial arts.
18 años. Hasta los 18 años no las retomé.
Until he was 18.
Okay.
Y lo retomé con karate y kickboxing.
So he started with he restarted with karate and kickboxing.
Y después a los 21 años o 22 empecé con Wing Chun y Kali.
At 22 he started with Wing Chun and with Kali.
Okay.
Y después ya cuando empecé con el Kali ya me enganché poco a poco con los Datu Brothers en el año 2006, si no me equivoco.
And after taking Kali in 2006, he ended up getting hooked on. He got hooked on the art and then got into the Datu Brothers.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice.
Y de ahí ya, bueno, pues fue pasando el tiempo, fui haciendo cosas y hasta llegar al día de hoy.
And then just time passed and, up to today. Entonces, ¿qué te dio la idea para empezar el campo?
I'm sorry, I got Kelly Warden calling me. Tell you.
All right. So I just asked that what gave him the idea to start a surf camp.
Hey there.
Bien, la idea surgió en un pequeño Eurotrip que yo hice visitando a diferentes compañeros de los Datu Brothers.
Espera, que no te oigo, que está hablando Dean.
Ok, cuando digas.
So,
Dean, mute your mic.
Oh. Here, I'm going to do this. It's coming through here?
I hope so.
All right, here, let me go out there and see if it's...
All right, cool. Perdona, ¿qué estabas diciendo?
Que el tema del surfcamp surgió cuando yo hice un Eurotrip, creo que fue en el año 2015 o 2016, no estoy seguro.
So in 2015, he went to one of the camps in Europe.
Y Benjamin, hablando en una conversación sobre artes marciales y deportes, surgió el surf. Porque yo había hecho un poquito de surf de joven.
He was talking to Benjamin about martial arts and sports, and Benjamin had mentioned that he used to surf when he was younger.
Y ahí surgió la idea de hacer un surf camp.
And that's how the idea of the surf camp came about. ¿Cuántos años llevas ya?
Pues déjame pensar. Llevamos 5 ediciones, porque hicimos pausa por la pandemia y estuvimos 3 años sin hacerlo.
Okay, so there was 5. It's surf camps been going on for 5 years. They had to stop for the pandemic, and they took a break for 3 years as well.
Entonces,
¿cuándo los datos del campo de este año, cuándo es?
Desde el 22 hasta el 29 de septiembre.
So this year's camp is from the 22nd to the 29th of September. Y también este año viene Ireland, ¿verdad?
Efectivamente, desde hace unos años que de traje a ti por primera vez, decidí intentar traer siempre 2 instructores, uno Benjamin y otro un invitado.
Yeah, so the camp works that he has Benjamin as one of the instructors and he invites another instructor. Like I've been there a couple times already. And this year he's going to have Arlen Sanford as his guest, as his host instructor. Like, eso lo voy a decir en inglés primero, si no te importa. I've been there. It's a really crazy experience because you are training for 7 days, but you're also surfing, and you also go on excursions as well. And it's va a ser en Bilbao otra vez este año, ¿no?
Efectivamente, va a ser en
And
Bilbao.
En Bilbao, it's a beautiful area. Solo estoy diciendo que no solo pelear, también por 7 días vamos fuera a hacer surf y a ver el país un poco también.
Sí, tenemos haciendo como actividades extra el surf, una jornada de kayak y está previsto hacer una excursión por la ciudad de Bilbao.
Nice. So this year they're doing a bunch of kayaking, like ocean kayaking, and also exploring the city of Bilbao a bit, which has got a lot of history. Any, what do you think, Dean?
Awesome. I'm just saying the link here to Kelly by email.
Hay otra persona que está perdida.
I guess I would just ask, like, again, like the process of him, I guess, developing, like, did he run into, for folks that are watching, like, what suggestions could he give that would help them facilitate organizing something?
¿Qué puedes sugerir a alguien que quiere empezar un campo también? ¿Qué es la cosa más importante que hacer?
Pues no te puedo decir. Para mí es la organización, intentarte volcar en todos los detalles con todo el mundo de los que quieren venir y dejar a los instructores lo más contentos posibles.
Yeah, for Rodolfo, the most important thing is organization, and it's like the devil's in the details sort of thing. I'll just say this: like, I know that Rodolfo, like the day that the camp ends, he already starts organizing the next year's camp. Like he's on it. So estaba diciendo que cuando el campo termina, tú ya estás organizando el próximo año.
Lo estoy organizando antes de que empiece. Ya estoy adelantándome un tiempo antes.
Yeah, so he's actually saying he actually will start organizing the next camp before the other camp even starts. Si alguien quiere venir al campo este año, todavía pueden ir.
Sí, todavía hay plazas.
So Rodolfo saying, if anybody out there is interested in coming to the camp, there's still space. ¿Tienen que coger un hotel en otro sitio o hay sitio todavía en Moana?
Hay sitio todavía en la Surf House.
Okay.
Pero si quiere habitación individual, hay un hotel que está bastante cerca.
Okay. So the surf camp is at a place called the Moana. It's like it's where kind of surfers hang out. It's a really cool place. There is still rooms available, but if you want an individual room, you might better to go to a local hotel, which is just around the corner. Y si quieren contactarte para el surf camp o para entrenar hasta, tienes ¿a dónde te pueden contactar?
Tenemos una página web en España, aunque no está actualizada, que es dogbrothers.es.
So there's dogbrothers.es, which is where you can get in touch with Rodolfo or find out about the camp.
Ahí aparece mi email de contacto marcial, vamos a decirlo así, que es frageldog@dogbrothers.es.
So he just gave me his website and also his email. ¿Me lo puedes apuntar en el chat que tenemos? Y luego
sí.
te lo meto yo aquí.
Vale. A ver si sé manejarme.
No tienes que hacerlo ahora. Do you have any questions, Dean, at all? Or?
No, just tell him thank you for coming on, and yeah, I appreciate it. No, thank you.
Well, muchas gracias por venir. Espero de ver, nos vemos en septiembre de seguro.
Nos vemos en septiembre.
Y si tienes algo que quieres enseñar, lo que sea, apúntalo aquí y lo metemos.
Vale.
Bueno, vale.
Okay.
So I also there's another thing too with the Rodolfo. His double stick game is pretty insane. He's got some really crazy moves. So I told him to post some of his videos here so we can.
I'd love to see those. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got some really like stuff that just messes with you. Le estoy diciendo que tienes el juego de doble palo es fantástico.
Es muy divertido.
Y las cosas que haces tú que no son lo que hace otra gente.
Yeah.
Así que,
yeah, don't post them. If he puts them in the messenger thing there, I could pull them up and absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, quiero poner la conversación y lo metemos nosotros en el website luego.
Vale, perfecto.
Bueno, Rodolfo, gracias.
De nada.
Nos vemos de poco.
Chao, chao.
Awesome. All right. So the main event, he made it on here. Datu Kelly. We're going to hear about.
Can you translate for him?
Yeah. and those who are watching before we bring him up, he's been doing this for like 40 something years. So I think folks are going to really get something out of how he coordinates and how he goes about it, from planning, advertisement, how to get the word out there. Obviously, folks helping out, but obviously he's doing something pretty successul.
Does he have any sponsors at all or anything?
I think he's looking for us. I mean, you're buddy.
Okay.
So without further ado, Datu Kelly Warden.
Sound check good?
Hey, Datu.
Is sound check good?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, man, thanks for inviting me, guys. I appreciate it. Renee, good to see you again. Yeah. Dean, how about you? Everything good out there on that end of town?
Yeah, but Datu, I want you to know this. I am the nice one. Renee, not so,
And I'm pretty sure you know that whenever someone says that I'm the nice one.
Yeah. Well,
you don't hear the phone calls I get from him where I get called every name of the book. It's like, be on time, Renee. Your timing sucks.
Sure.
Your stories suck. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I get it. I got multiple personalities, according to my wife. So, not much you can do about that.
So we appreciate you coming on. One reason we thought of you was because you've been doing this camp for like literally 4 decades. So obviously, folks that maybe want to approach this, how to go about it. I mean, we're thinking like you could be so instrumental and helpful, like far as like how to do it.
Since this is the 45th year, and some of those years we did 2 times a year. When Ted Lukai was coming up, I would bring him up in the spring and then Labor Day as well. And Teddy was just a hoot. I mean, he'd stay at the house and I don't know, he'd throw shoes at me because I would get him laughing and chuckling so hard about just crazy stuff, mostly the comical side of martial arts politics. And, and he'd throw a shoe because his sides were hurting so bad. He just needed a chance to breathe, So, he was pretty funny. And he had a great time at the camp because there's otters there. There's deers that just live in that valley right there. And then the raccoons, of course, which isn't so rare. But I guess if you live in Bakersfield, California, maybe the animal life isn't so prevalent like it is out on Raft Island. I mean, there's a good sized herd with always 4 or 5, maybe 6 babies, and then mom and dad. And sometimes they think they're tame, and have you seen Are We There Yet? With the deer that kicks the shit out of you. So just leave the wildlife alone, type of thing. But But Ted was just really amazed at the facility. I remember somebody said, somebody dogged me, no doubt. Oh, it looks like a Boy Scout camp. Well, it's a Christian retreat. It's got a big lodge, a big octagon lodge, and that's where they do the cooking, a full staffed kitchen and chef. And then all the tables and the outside decks that surround the octagon. And then we flip the tables up if it ever rains, or we're going to do a lecture because we're going past 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and it's just getting too dark. We just go inside, flip the tables, move it all off, and we've got a training floor on the inside. So, and like I said, we'll set up lectures and kind of not necessarily slideshows, but pictures and outlines of a specific program or a safety issue or anything like that. Well, Mr. Anderson or Dr. Brett or Doc Christian, he'll get up there and do a lecture. You know, we've had sports therapist doctors come in and talk about how to maximize some of the stuff that Jeff was talking about. Again, that's probably one of the greatest lecturers that we could possibly have. You know, what's the question? Bam, you know. And yeah, he's just amazing, you know. And when I got kidney failure and cancer due to the wrong medication, you know, I didn't know what to do. I was pretty much done for, and so I had to choose who could represent as an authoritative, a director of the group per se, without letting his ego get out in the way or anything else. And you know, there was other martial artists that were better as far as, or more skilled in natural spirit stuff, but they didn't have the technical whereabouts, and they weren't, you know, a lieutenant or sergeant detective who could allocate authority without, you know, with just taking care of business. So that's why Jeff got, Jeff got appointed that, and kind of a neutral party too. You know, he just loved to put people to work more so than do it all himself. You know, I mean, that's kind of a gift too. You know.
What and I'll let Renee jump in here. 45 years. So is it like, how do you like, you know, how'd you make it grow? Like, you know, I mean, I know word of mouth is obviously, you know, definitely a big thing and definitely carries significant weight, but the planning, the coordination, I mean, like that cannot be easy.
You know, not just that, like, listen, after I started beat the crap out of cancer in 2009, and towards my involvement, like when the politics started hitting, I just pulled the chute. I was like, see you guys later. I'm out of here. So how do you stop something like that? How do you nip? How do you cut the politics off when you're in a camp like that? It's been going for so long.
Well, we don't have it at our camp because, you know, like people say, an armed society is a polite society. Chances are we're all packing live blades, and the other half are probably carrying a firearm with concealed carry permit, that type of thing. They travel here and travel there, you know. But mostly it's everybody's respectful of each other. There is oftentimes, if there's 45 or 60 people there, chances are there's 60 people there with different skill levels in different martial arts. You know, you got a guy like Martin Gonzalez, who's been with me for 25 years. Prior to that, he was with Mr. Bob Anderson. And Anderson's been with me for 40 plus years, let alone his other 10 or 15 years of high-speed Kajikembo, executive protection with Oliver North, Harrison Ford, Johnson & Johnson, King of Morocco. I mean, pretty high-speed guy, you know, and he's doing huh?
Did you say Peter North?
Peter North. Oh no, Oliver North.
Oliver North.
Okay. Oliver North. Yeah, during the you know, all the court cases and stuff he was going on. What was it, 83, 84, something like that. Again, King of Morocco, President of Poland, left Luenza. You know, one of the years he put together a program for bomb recognition. So he set up the camp, and how would you recognize if there was explosives here? You know, he would even have suspicious characters they're part of the camp, but you don't know that they're acting suspicious and that type of thing. Yeah, that was kind of the cool thing about training special forces guys too. A lot of their higher level contracts were directly for the DoD, and they were traveling the train line, like during 9/11 and uh, uh, 2019, the COVID scares and stuff. So they were traveling the train lines and doing things as covert operatives, and trainees didn't know who they were, but they were trying to leave clues so that this guy would recognize or know that he'd been followed for 200 miles, that type of thing, from Seattle to Portland or whatever. So we get, there's just an interesting amount of diversity that could be going on behind the scenes besides learning stick and knife and close quarter combat and 2-on-1 security advice for your family, for your wife, those type of things. But lots of training. I mean, 8 to 10, 12 hours a day. We just never stop training because, hey, I might be beat to shit after 3 hours. Then it's time to rotate. Then you got a guy like Jeff coming in, or Belton Lubas coming in, or Martin Gonzalez, or Rob Sharp. I mean, we've had a lot of people in over the years. Professor Trigg. Just it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'll just keep informing you with where we're at. But organizing, pick a camp, pick a location, and set the standard logistics. Are there hotel rooms and so on and so forth? Well, we do camping out, but there are cabins at the camp, and we hire our chef, so he sets the food menu and that type of thing, and try to regulate who's coming in at the airport and see if anybody wants to ride share, that type of stuff. So I kind of chuckle with that because I'm not that organized. I know when the date is. Here's the schedule of how we're going to switch people around. The chef knows we need an extra half hour here or an extra half hour there, that type of stuff. And if we have to kind of get a better feel of it, we can divide the groups into two or three small groups just to get a specific concept across, who wants to learn staff sets and why we do them, and who wants to learn lock flow and control techniques, who wants to learn knife work, so we can divide that up and at the same time keep it as a big group too. And you're always rotating partners. So I'd have to say that more than half of the people there are instructor levels, but this is a specific way we want them to teach. We want to interact. We are a tribe as opposed to this style set patterns of things, so yeah, it's pretty fluid. I guess that's the way to put it.
When you just mentioned all that, that's like an anxiety attack for me because you got to cook. I mean, you got the schedules and all that. Like when you first started, where it was in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, you brought the ring up there. Like it wasn't that structured, organized. Like you didn't have cabins, a cook. I mean, basically people were on tents, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was actually Mission Ridge in Wenatchee, Washington. So I guess that's the highest ski resort in Washington State. But it's in the foothills of Wenatchee. You come out of the valley and then start climbing, and eventually we get high enough that there's a Boy Scout camp up there, and it was just open. It had a couple cabins, but mostly it was hundreds of acres, and and a valley, and we used the valley for our training. And you brought a tent, a hibachi, and that was it. There wasn't too much of a responsibility. I believe when Burton came up, yeah, that's a good story. I don't know if he'll appreciate it, but he was very much into health foods, and not that we weren't. We had hibachis and big stir fries that we put up on the big grill inside the lodge, and So Burton wanted to go downtown. And I was like, okay, no sweat. Here we go to the fruit stand and so on and so forth. And he goes, oh, I'm really looking for New Zealand apples. And I was like, well, this is Wenatchee. I mean, we sell apples to, Japan and China. And I mean, these are some of the best apples in the world. And he's like, oh, well, I'm really looking for New Zealand apples. So I goes, well, I just wonder how that Wenatchee apple would taste shoved halfway up your ass. And we hadn't really met before. And he's like, oh, these Wenatchee apples will be just fine. So it was kind of funny. We had a good time.
Well, the New Zealand apples have the stem on the bottom, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was right after he got back from Africa, where he was doing staff work with the Zulus.
Oh, the Zulus,
Yeah. So I took it upon myself and said, hey, we're going to do a session on staff. You first, And so anyway, we had a good time. Burton got a chance to meet Bob Anderson. At that time, Bob was still doing stuff for ESI, Executive Security International. And Maurice Smith had rolled up. And Jim Keating was there too. Kevin Schmidt, Jim Ingram's protege, a real talented Pukalan Sealot guy. He's been with me for a lot of years. Been with me long enough to break away and do his own thing, and we're still friends. I mean, I have never taken these guys, Keating or Anderson, and put them under my banner directly. I think that's part of the success too, is not taking people that are more like associates and then trapping them within the confines of my system or my style. They still embrace my style. Keating calls me his mentor, or one of them, Minnie. That's how he met David Harris, and that's how he met Jesse and other people. I went over and did a seminar for him. I go, shit, you got everything I got. You're just missing some gaps here and there. So maybe do this, get some Wing Chun, look at your joint manipulation stuff, and shit, you're good to go. And as a matter of fact, I was a knife guy too, extreme one, but I passed it to him. And I explained that by telling Bob Anderson, Kaji Kemble guy, and I said, hey, I'd really feel more comfortable about bringing Jim in, because a lot of people think I'm an evil sort kind of guy, and Jim will make me look more normal, less aggressive. So if possible, I don't know about that, but that's how I brought people in. I did the same thing for Joe Simonette. I don't know, Joe's passed away a few years ago, but did the same thing, opened the door for him, and it just blew his mind. He really went off his rocker at that point in time. He just, he wanted to fit in so bad that he already fit in. All you got to do is just pick what you're good at and do that, and don't worry about topping the bar or anything like that. Just blend in with the group.
That's refreshing. When I first got my level 1 through Dean, he told me I had to call him Grandmaster. And as I walk up to him, I'm supposed to bow. I have picture evidence of this, by the way, as well. When I brought him up for a seminar, he came up to me and it's like, at first I got a little like backhand smack and said, he said, bow down and, call me Grandmaster.
Datu
so it's pretty refreshing here that doesn't happen
word of that
on your side.
Yeah, no, I've seen it all for the most part, but that wasn't part of it,
Okay.
So, at least he didn't come out in full Cook Soul attire, something like that. With the headband and Cobra Kai patch on the back, shit like that. Yeah.
I've seen some funny things at seminars, both that I attended and some of them that I taught. Like I think one of the best ones I had is someone asked me about the double sword dance in Krabi. So I'm doing this, this white crew, and I'm moving around, and this dude just out of nowhere jumps right beside me and starts like doing something completely different. And I was like, I just kind of ignored it.
Sure.
At the end, I was like, thanks. But I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah. Well, that's when you jump out with the Gallagher sword and the watermelon and do the watermelon slash.
It just wasn't worth cleaning that sword.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the again? I don't know if we said it already. What's the name of the camp? What are the
Oh,
dates for it?
yeah, it's Water and Steel. Originally, it was Warrior Retreat when we were up in the mountains of Wenatchee. And that stayed there for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. I had an old U-Haul truck, and at least that was a big box truck. And we'd load up my kickboxing ring, 20 by 20, 4-rope kickboxing ring. We'd load that thing up and then set it up on the mountain. And we had stick fights, point karate fights, and then full contact MMA type of fights. We didn't go full contact as far as smoking the other guy, but what you went off accumulative points, and so you had to fight all three divisions to get acknowledged and win whatever we were doing that time. Usually a nice knife or something like. I used to give the Gil Hibben knives out, and those were pretty popular back when Gil was still actively making stuff, and we'd put stuff on them like Cold Stone Bro #1, Cold Stone Bro #2, and those were kind of awards for the people that worked hardest at the camp in their training. Most improved, that type of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That answer your question, or did I skip past it?
No, that's cool. Like if someone wants to get more information about the camp or get in touch with you because they want to train with you, where's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, it's wardendefense.com, so that's pretty easy. Or just punch my name into Facebook, and I put more stuff up there because you're never going to catch up with me. As a matter of fact, if you got all that stuff, I'd probably be training with you next because you're going to innovate. You're going to improvise. You're going to get kind of stuck someplace. Like I've taught a lot of progressive staff sets and staff forms, and a lot of people capture them from videos, and then they do the best that they can. And then when I end up meeting them, I was like, oh man, you said you're going to show me that. Let me see what you're doing. And, bang, 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 and the timing or the synchronization or the stepping or, the pauses. I mean, in sets and forms, the pause is about everything. 1, 2, 3, bang! When to lock that in and then shift off into a transition or a change of direction. And those are fairly important things just in how the cadence is and how you emphasize it and how it's going to activate somebody's thought process when they analyze it or see it. So I just go, wow, I like that innovation, and I can understand why they would do that. I mean, I did the same thing with Pracis's Años, where a lot of people followed Ramey around, and every time they got that next step, and then I might show up in a year and go, how come nobody's doing the Palisade here? How come nobody's doing the stop hit and sombrata there? And just he said, I'm very good. I teach them to forget. And I get kind of pissed because I'm one of those guys that forgets. I said, or I miss it. But if I don't have it on video where I can review it and then kind of try to set the cadence or set the sequence right, then I'm kind of like, oh, I better, this is what it feels like. And, but when he said, I'm very good, I teach them to forget. And I goes, whoa, what the hell is that? And we had a pretty personal conversation. So I could pretty talk bluntly to him. And he says, well, when people see me too often, they think that everything I am teaching now is now the new stuff. And, so I have to teach them to forget so they'll remember what they already knew and tie that stuff together as opposed to the progression. Like a lot of times in later years, Professor would focus so much on his tappy, which is a lot like GM Bobby's Balintawak variation. Of course, Ramey was GM Bobby's senior in Balintawak, and a lot of other people's too. And course, Sonny Umpad knew Ramey from the Balintawak circles because he grew up in Cebu, Bogo City, I believe it was. But, so to allow your students that freedom of expression, and then let them teach it, Ramey would say, "Oh my God, you are teaching me now," even if you're just innovating outside of his immediate circle. And so I think that's really one of the key things with the camp is everybody is capable there. And, we don't wear ranks or anything like that. A classic example of that is I have some of the special forces and the Rangers and different people that'll show up, but you're really not going to know who they are unless you get into a personal conversation with them. And so after we train for 8 hours or so, okay, we're going to line up, just kind of like in rank, but no rank. You guys don't know each other's rank, but line up next. Now that you've crossed hands with people, line up to the person left of the person that you don't want to fight. I mean, for real. And not that we're going to do that, but just a way for people to relate knowledge, skill, and presence above technique and so on and so forth. Of course, technique is part of that too, but it really is at that handshake or that conversation or just how he conducts himself inside the circle that he's not a smart ass, he's not an arrogant prick, that type of stuff. And you kind of have a tendency to make the right choices. And you can see the ones that don't, because they're standing there like, well, I'm a world champion at this last point karate championship. Yeah, well, go line up next to Jason or Mr. Anderson. Well, no, I'm not going over there. Well, then don't count yourself as a world champion. There's a lot of worlds out there, and it's a real small world in some people's circle. So embrace the opportunity to be around a lot of confident, skilled people that are willing to share with you.
Yeah, and that will break your delusions about stuff too, right? Because
right now,
to a lot of places where there's some really delusional people, and they show up with I swear to God, these guys go to they must wear their MMA gloves when they're eating a sandwich or go to the bathroom. And then they meet the real person, and they're like, so there's two people. There's one that realize it, they're like, okay, I'm gonna cut my shit out, and then you meet the other person who's gonna be like, yeah, they just caught me in a bad day,
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
Speaking of innovation, that's the one thing I love about Dean, because he's been really he has a lot of innovation with the stuff that he does. He actually was talking to me about another part of his art that he does. It's I think he called it Che Kita. I'm not really sure. And then it involves a tactical banana. It's pretty crazy. Yeah,
That's not. You blew it. I'm not releasing that till summer.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, but you gave me a bunch of these. So, anyways.
Yeah.
So speaking of
you're supposed to share them. Yeah, supposed to share the banana. Yeah.
Future release.
And
so,
camp, because
go ahead.
How long is your camp? Because
we get
Euros. Like the longest camp I've ever done is 4 days. A Friday to Monday. But with the Euro guys, they can get into 7 years.
Yeah, no doubt. No, we used
7 days.
Yeah,
7 days.
Yeah. We used to do 5 days and then show up a couple days earlier for the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a vacation type of thing before the calm before the storm or that type of thing. But back then we were all drinking and raising hell and that type of thing. So it was a pretty rough 5 days, and now we're all pretty monkish, because we're focused on so many other things about the evolution of our art. I don't think there's anybody that just does one thing. You take a guy like Belton Lubis, and he's running the BJJ team, he's running the Muay Thai team, going from Thailand back to over to Italy, down to Mexico, and bringing fighters with him and doing some great things. And then he's Wakita Tercia, and he's Balintawak, Now, he was NSI before all of that stuff. And I said, man, if you're going to run a school, get yourself, the support guys. And then one of the things, or how we do it, how I've done it is I would teach one of the guys that's real good at the R&Ds. So I say, hey, man, a real good striker too. Get in there with the Muay Thai. Another guy, get in there with the Wing Chun. Get in there with the Aikido and the BJJ. And so I set the curriculum up for my group based on their interests and their attributes, and then how I can give them somebody like Jesse Glover, non-classical Kung Fu. It's different. Martine went through Leong Ting and Bostepi, and when it became too cumbersome of demands, like percentage of of the student body, when you're really trying to run a school that's got a ring and it's a big building and stuff, and they're taking too much. Well, hey, man, let me gift you to Jesse Glover. You get the non-classical Kung Fu. Bastilio will be up in 3 months. I want to introduce you to him. By the way, here's Professor Trigg. Here's Lukey. So right there, just in that little bit of a gathering, you got Jesse, Bastilio, Lukey, Professor Trigg. You got 4 variables of Wing Chun, Kung Fu, that you can kind of really absorb all kinds of stuff, kind of like Belton. Hey, why don't you go see GT? And of course, GT, the first thing he wanted to do is hustle him out of NSI, and Belton said, hey, I've been with Datu 8 years longer than when I met you. Yeah, but you're my sister's grandmother's second cousin to her brother. GT's always on the hustle. And so he just stayed with GT, and then at the same time, he was a little upset when Belton went to GM Bobby. And he says, well, you guys can't really be upset with that because I'm running my school more off of Muay Thai and BJJ, so you guys are just part of what it is I do. And, he's building students pure in each one of those systems. He's keeping the Kita Tertia, pure in how he was presented. He's keeping Bobby's stuff pure too, except for Bobby goes, hey, on your testing this time, integrate the NSI stuff. Of course, the NSI stuff also includes Kita Tertia, that type of thing. But Bobby's cultivating that freedom of expression too, so it's interesting how that can flow together. And I'm sure Burton does it too, because he embraces the multiple systems and, isolate things that are relevant to what it is you're doing. And eventually you will create your college curriculum, your primary art and your secondary art and, your other arts that will complement you, or you want to get enough interest in them so that you run into a guy like that, you at least have an idea how that Illustramo guy moves, or what that footwork is, or that type of thing. So yeah,
what's funny, Datu, is that in a lot of the European guys that I know who are also dog brothers, they don't call it Filipino martial arts anymore. They acknowledge the fact that it's that came from there, but because they have mixed so much of other stuff in, they just call it stick fighting. Like they don't even call it Kali anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting.
Sure. Well, a lot of times with contact fighters, I mean, that is the end result. And at the same time, the preservation of the art embraces the cultural elements, the key things that made those systems or styles unique in their own right. And then, to not lose them. It's real tough for me not to improvise Sonny Umpad's Corto Cadena with Jesse's Kung Fu and then into my Western boxing. A lot of those innovations also came when I was training Special Forces, because I had to eliminate stylistic approaches. I'd say Okay, how many of you guys did seeing a new group? How many of you guys did karate? How many did judo? And they raise their hands. How many people threw some of that shit away because you felt it wasn't functional? And everybody'd raise their hand too. And I goes, okay, how many people like to see how it's supposed to work? So I left the mats and the multi-million-dollar gym behind. I went out in the parking lot. I broke glass on the parking lot. I went in the gravel, in the dirt, and on the ice. And I said, how are you going to function in this environment? What are you going to do? The last thing you're going to do is shoot for the ground. If that's maybe not glass, but guess what? You're on a medical dump facility or area where they've dumped all kinds of shit. Do you want your team members down on that ground? People don't see that, So yeah, it's difficult to stay. You have to stay true to the people before you stay true to the art. But like Belton does, and Martin does that too. All his classes are specifically for if you want Muay Thai, if you want Western boxing, if you want the ground fighting, the Sambo, the Wing Chun. He would give those key things, but he opens it up for you to train in the other arts too. So, yeah, and that's what the camp is. Camp's all about that, So,
Wow. How'd you?
yeah,
Well, it's great to have all that history and then have everybody get together like that and be able to train.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, geez, it's amazing, and even if we're kind of doing maybe at the end of the day, we're going to do a round robin. Okay, somebody start a line. Okay, all right, Casada, Palace, thrusting, takedown, next guy. Might be Beltner, might be Mr. Anderson or Jeff. I mean, seeing Jeff's, Jeff is as unpredictable as anything, just from his physical presence. He doesn't look very old. He's got serious mileage on him, though. I mean, and that includes experiences and traumas and that type of thing. That's why he's so compassionate and passionate about that. But he's compassionate to other people that are going through walls and bridges and barriers and emotional distress, and he can recognize all that stuff and pull you right in and dissipate that around you. But technically, I'm often surprised as he's got a steel trap. God, you remember that? I taught that back in '92 or whatever. It's still there, but it's something I evolved into something else. Oh no, I remember this specifically. So yeah, that's a good thing. And with that being said, somebody is on that path that he was on that was attending that camp. Or where was Belton? Oh God, when I first started, I was just overwhelmed. I mean, we were at a Bastilio seminar, and Bastilio says, "Hey, Filipino boy, go with the old man." I mean, my hair's been silver for a while, but I don't know about old man. Anyway, so Belton comes over, and we're working out. He was working out with a pretty girl, Filipino girl, and he was enjoying that training. But he said, "Oh, yeah, okay." And he goes over there. And next thing you know, he's bouncing off the floor, hitting him with my foot traps and my sweeps, and just a lot of different things. And so there was a break, and he goes, I could hear him over there going, "Who is that guy?" And they said, "Well, that's Datu Kelly." He goes, "I thought Datu Kelly was a Filipino." No, he's that old white guy. So it's kind of a good story. I'm sure he tells it better, because he didn't miss anything. But yeah.
Wow. So as the years progressed, I mean, obviously it got bigger and all that, but as the years progressed, is that when you really started to bring in the bigger names and more of them? Or
No, I started bringing in, Bob Anderson was a big name in the Northwest.
Yeah, sure.
He's got the fastest PKA knockout. Now the PKA was here, then WKA, of course, like Maurice came in. I used to be the Washington State director of WKA, so I trained a lot of the referees, and I refereed professionally in Vegas with Cecil Peoples for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. Trying to think of who was fighting that day. He was out of Texas, I remember that. But Joe Corley was there, Kathy Long, Bob Wall. Yeah, I mean, Bob was mad at me because I threw Dennis Alexio under the table. Dennis went to Australia and fought Stan Longanitas and didn't want the leg kicks. Well, why are you taking a WK international fight? You want the fame and fortune, but he wanted ISCA rules. And so here you got a world championship match, and you're changing the rules. And Alexio got his shin broke because he wasn't conditioned. And then Bob Wall blamed it on a slippery mat. And he goes, "We're not senior citizens." Anyway, I was writing for this magazine called Fists and Feet in Australia, so I wrote it up just like that. Man, bad news for the local boy, jumping in international waters and got his ass handed to him. And Bob came up to me in the corridor like, "I can't believe you did that, Kelly." Well, what? Told the truth? It kind of ended Alexio's career too. Once you break a shin, you're not gonna go back in there. That's pretty painful. So, but no, I always tried to bring people in that were interested. Alec Corper, if you look him up, he's out of Holland, and he's a Aikijitsu, was a Kyoshinkai. Does a system Chili Kwan, which is kind of a Tai Chi lock and throwing art. But I tell you, man, he could spiral your ass down into a manhole, when there ain't a hole there. He's that good with his attachment. But he just loved the natural spirit of the flow, and then being around that many people. And he came as a practitioner, but I immediately recognized his skill and put him on the floor. Teach a session. And, so that's really how it is. A lot of people, like I was really interested in bringing Lukey in, and that was prior to him getting sick and then passing. Yeah. But he got sick. He was at the camp, and I said, "Okay, hey, Professor, you do a session." And I've known him for years and years and years, but Professor Trigg is very unassuming, even though he's like Dan Inosanto's boxing coach, and he's the international director of boxing for Master Chai's Muay Thai. He took over the Lameko system straight after Edgar passed away, monitored Herman Sawanda's method. He certified Batika Nagara, Ilistermo. There's a lot of things, but Triggs, he's getting pretty close to Danny's age. But he's also certified under Ernesto Praces and Ramey Praces, and trained with Roberto and all the different instructors over there in the Philippines. But he was a Oregon State trooper. And he was head of tactics for Oregon State, so he got paid to go to the Philippines and learn stuff. He's trained a lot of professional boxer level quality, that type of stuff. So I just said, "Hey, why don't you teach a session?" And the guy was just a wizard, but he didn't like being in the shadows.
I've heard.
Well, he got a restraining order.
Yeah. I was trying to bring Ed Hart in. Ed, if you guys don't know, that was Jesse's roommate and Bruce Lee's second student.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Datu. What was his name again?
Ed Hart.
No, wow, really?
Edward Hart. Yeah, they were roommates. They met in judo. Ed was probably 35 and Jesse was 28, something like that, when he met Bruce, somewhere in that area. And I try not to. I try to have just enough information to kind of say where they came through, but I don't. I'm not a historian. Some people are like, really like set on that. It's just specific things. But yeah, so I brought Jesse in, and he just started sharing and teaching and doing things like that. And we really accepted the fact that Jesse was dynamic in what it is he did. And from there, again, we just let certain people, take advantage of, what their evolution was and how that worked. Dr. Brett Jacques, ex-Ranger, U.S. Army Ranger, a rugby player, and a Sambo practitioner. And so he taught a lot of stuff and, shared that opportunity. And he's a doctor of naturopath medicine. So, David Harris showed up at the camp. David, quite the performer as well. He was a student of Fook Young. Fook Young was Bruce Lee's chef at Ruby Chow's, but he was what'd you say with Fook Young? Fook Young was who Bruce learned the mantis and different elements of Tai Chi and things like that. So yeah, it was just just kind of an amazing conglomeration of a lot of different practitioners that shared their art, and I just opened up the door for the camp, and that's how it kind of went about,
Wow. How would you, I guess, as somebody that wanted to take on not just a seminar, but like a camp, like what would you suggest to them? I mean, like, do you have to bring in some highlight names just to get momentum going? Like, what would you suggest to somebody who wanted to attempt this?
Yeah, no, I don't think you need big hitters, because a lot of times we don't realize who's actually doing what they are in their own environment, and you want to take advantage of the local people before you stick your neck out and into the financial support. As it is, for me, I could stay strictly along the West Coast, and pull in some pretty well-known names, like Lukey and Jesse Glover, Dr. W.P. Yip, and, Jim Keating, Bob Anderson, at some point in time, Joe Simonette. A lot of, kind of the logical way is you choose, say 4 people to do this weekend gig. And, you're kind of bringing them into it to gain them exposure, but also so that they're going to bring 6, 8, 10 of their students, and they may bring 2 or 4. Next thing you know, you got, 30, 40 students, and then, wow, you videotape it, you get the chatter going around, and it just builds on its own, that type of thing.
That's the only way. That's the only way. Like I hosted Guru Dan a couple times, and the first one I went on just like a rampage, sending emails, calling people, calling schools up, inviting the teacher to come in, and the teacher would bring in like 4 or 5 other people, and that was the only seminar where I had over 100 people show up for that seminar.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it can be a grind sometimes. Yeah,
for sure. And with that big a name, you also got to support that. Hotel, motel,
it's
Holiday Inn.
It's I'm not going to go into the numbers, but you got, it's first class everything, right? There's no there's
You're not doing Super 8, man.
No, you're not doing Super 8. You're not going to McDonald's for lunch. You're not going to have a Coke or just a regular water. It's and he's not a diva by any means. I'm not saying that. It's just the expectation from when you're told to join in, or if you get the host a seminar like that, his camp will tell you exactly the way they want it. He may not say anything about it, or he doesn't have that expectation, but his camp says it's A, B, and C, and if you can't handle that, then don't bother. And then when you see the price tag behind it, it's nerve-wracking because I've been to let's just say this: I hosted somebody once, and I had 56 people show up the first time he showed up, and then the last time he showed up, I had I think it was like 7, including me. But you're still got to pay.
You still got to pay. That's right.
It's not like they're not going to sit there and go, "Hey, you had a bad turnout. Don't worry."
Yeah, that's right. We'll get it next time.
Well, you want
what size?
Off some of my videos?
yeah. What size shoes? What size shoes do you wear?
God.
Yeah, I've had somebody, again, not mentioning names, somebody I hosted, and the first day it was like 6 people, and I flew this guy in from overseas, and he just he turned to me at one point. He says, "Nothing personal. I just want to let you know that I expect to get paid in full."
Yeah.
The second day I had like the 25, 30 that I needed. So I literally squeaked by on that. But yeah, it's like, it's a business, right?
Sure.
It's a learning experience if you want to do it. But for the people who are hosting it, it's definitely a business.
Yeah. No, you're right, 100%. And you mentioned marketing, and that's not me. I used to have a radio show, and I used to go literally everywhere. I'd go to other people's seminars and hang out, make sure they knew I was coming, and that type of thing, and kind of fire up the fact that, hey man, I got a gig coming up. It's either somebody coming in or I got one doing myself. To invite people. Heck, I invited Dean to one of the camps a couple of years ago. I said, "Hey man, you ain't been here." Paulo was just tickled to death at that camp. He was like, "Oh man, he was like naming everybody he knew. They need to come here." He goes, "I've been trying to do this for years and years." He goes, "But Kelly's already put it together, and it flows together on its own if it was meant to be. You can't really force people to do it." I even told Paulo, "Hey, I don't give a shit who you are. I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. So, you don't mean shit to me." Within 2 hours of being honest with him, we were pretty fast friends. Mutual respect and honesty for each other, and no bullshit around. And I think we're pretty good friends. And, of course, it also made a difference, all the people he got to meet and then see that nobody else was full of shit.
Right.
And, that he was like, "Wow, huh?" He goes, "There's no pissing contest here."
Yeah.
No, there's no time for that,
Right.
So, yeah. No little clicks or anything. That interview he did with Bob Anderson, I pull it up every once in a while. But Bob was, bodyguard for years and years, been shot at, been a lot of situations. Like I said, doing executive protection for Lech Walesa, president of Poland and king of Morocco, and he took a $500 million art collection from the Johnson and Johnson estate, which she was Polish. It was the castle or the property was right down the street from the governor of New Jersey. That was Johnson and Johnson. She married the old man. She was a chambermaid, and she married Mr. Johnson. Inherited that whole thing. Big scandal there. But she walked with the money. But she took that rare $500 million estate on private jets, air-conditioned jets, bought a fleet of air-conditioned trucks and arrange the security. I mean, they'll steal a Rembrandt, so what would they do for $500 million worth of art, right? And transferred it from the U.S. to Castle Warsaw so it could be on display. And that was a set of serious logistics. So, even though Bob considered me his harness or close quarter instructor, when Bob speaks, man, people listen. It's definitely worth tracking down that interview and listen to what he had to say, because he's got some amazing stories. Yeah.
Awesome. So we got somebody else jumping on soon.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. No sweat. I do. Yeah, I do have a seminar April 13th here on the hook cane, and that's got some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, April 13th. On hook cane, and then I'm also buying some hickory 41-inch walking sticks. So a little bit of whippy sticks, so some Largo Mono stuff, even though the hook cane is Largo Mono, but a lot of diverse striking. I do a lot of the fulcrum stuff, even with the hook cane or the Largo Mono. So I pull stuff from Sonny Umpod stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a flyer?
Yeah, I got a flyer.
I'm just thinking, if you got a flyer, I can post it here in the comment section or in that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you. Yeah. No sweat. But yeah, the Largo Mono stuff and the fulcrum and the release stuff, the foot trapping, the close quarter staff with a hook cane is pretty brutal. Very quick, very fast, very direct, and logical too. Again, it's a path to personal defense that you shouldn't get arrested unless you're malicious. If it's self-defense, it's deceptive, it's covert, and it's functional, So,
nice.
And, again, even the cane can be taught without the cane to where you're doing your empty hand staff. And it's very much like C-Lot, and it enhances your knife. Years ago, like in Fighting Knives and Full Contact magazine, they covered me that I taught my knife from the staff. And if you're doing double-ended staff, of course, it is just like you're doing double knife. And just because your body moves in conjunction like that, and you're retracting and loading at the same time, a lot of people just miss the true essence of what empty hand staff is, or what staff is, by not doing it empty handed. So anyway, just fun stuff. That's kind of what I teach at the camp. But the camp will be Martin Gonzalez and Charlie Wilson, amazing practitioner. Martin Gonzalez, Rob Sharp. Rob trained with 3 of Bruce Lee's original guys. Great Wing Chun guy, great boxer, and he was a pretty high-level Taekwondo guy. He got that first, so he had his legs before he learned how to box and scrap and do Wing Chun and JKD, and then of course Belton Lubis and Jeff Johnsgaard. So that's a good stand-up, good group. I could send you that flyer too if you want.
Send me everything you got. I'll be more than happy to post it. Absolutely.
Don't ever say everything you got, man. Your computer will be plugged up. Anyway, yeah, guys, it was good. Thanks, Renee, for sharing time with me, and Dean, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate it. And watch out for that new banana program.
Yeah. Gosh dang, I know.
You know what? It's appealing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, my little Staffordshire.
We'll teach you a bunch of it.
My little Staffordshire eats my bananas when we go to the park. So part of his bulking up, I guess. So, all right, guys. Well, you guys have an excellent show, and thanks for hooking this up. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. As always, Datu, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good blessings, everyone.
I gotta do the proper.
Yeah, the vow. Yeah.
It's not coming out till November.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. See you guys.
So we all right, we got Norman F and wrap up. I'm like been running all day, man. It's just like the last few days, I've just been like, it's like I'm either watching videos, I'm lesson planning, or planning seminars, and then I try to get my own training in. And by like around this time, I'm like starting to get shot. I'm just like,
I was on vacation. I came back to 700 emails, and like I literally, I think I got at one point I was just staring at my screen, and I think it might have gone black already. I just couldn't process it. And today, like I'm working on a whole bunch of different special projects, and today they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're going to build like 4 or 5 stores this year as well." I was like, "Oh, that's great, thanks."
like they have another.
But I'm only on email like 200, right? So it's
I'm just like, but yeah. So, but usually by Thursday, Friday, things start to kind of and I catch up. But man, like the beginning of the week is just like lessons, or I mean, like online privates, then the group class, and then critiquing videos, and the seminar planning, then the camp planning. It's just like, man, like,
yeah, there's one thing that I kind of wanted to say as well. When planning anything or any event, like save your money.
That's a good point. Like, like actually save.
Like find out. Like, do not rely on people. Do
like,
not rely on.
Have enough money. Well,
don't rely on.
Months.
Don't rely on Facebook. Interested in going or whatever. That's just nonsense. You're gonna end up losing everything.
Yeah.
Like, in hindsight, for especially my first few seminars, find out how much it costs to bring the person up. Find out how much the flights are and accommodations.
Right.
Add 15-20% of that, and then save that money. Because at least if you don't break even or you end up losing,
at least you had something. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
At least it's taken care of. I know so many people who they would bring up high profile people, and they either through like politics or venue or just dates, it didn't work out, or they ended up, like I said, it happened to me where it's like the first camp I did when we were in the dungeon before we came out. When I was telling Filippo that my first camp was 20 some odd grand, and I just squeaked by at the end. And the only reason I squeaked by is because somebody heard that I had lost money, and they were throwing money. They threw some money in the pot to like help me out.
Okay.
Second one, we ended up like losing $5,000 because we did the same thing. We catered it and everything else.
Man.
And I think it's great that we want to bring arts and different instructors to town, but you have to remember as well as the times are different now. Like when I first started going to seminars, a seminar would cost you anywhere between $100 and $140 per day. Now guys are doing a seminar for $40 for 2 days.
What? $40 for 2 days?
Well, like they're charging $40 for 2 days. So
God,
how do you make that money, right? Especially if you're bringing someone from overseas.
I don't know how you're making that money. Oh, we got Norman here.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Should I do the banana salute or?
No, that program is not coming out to November. So
I forgot. Is it this way? Is my level 1 like this? Or is it like
no,
this?
it's the wrong way. Wrong way.
Like this?
That's great. How's it going?
He's releasing my program that should not. I don't want released till fall. So
The banana program.
It's called Che Kita, and
it's actually going to have a very Piper flavor to it. I don't want to give it away. So imagine this: you peel it back, and then you do the shimmer. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all you need.
And you only play with the tip.
Literally. Oh my God. See, I'm going down a rabbit hole with him.
You encourage me, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. And by default, right? And here, Datu sent me some pics. I want to get them up here. I'm just trying to see how to navigate. But Renee, Norman, Renee.
Hey, Renee, nice to meet you in
Thanks,
person.
man.
Yeah, Renee's that guy in WPM group too, the private group there. Like
Gotcha.
he'll say meh, like
Meh,
somebody will get a
yeah.
reward and it'll be
I
like
saw that. Yeah,
meh.
I got a meh on my Medusa or my Piper.
We all get the meh, right? So Renee,
You
ask
know, it's
away.
funny
I'm
that
going to bring up Kelly.
there's some people who actually take it seriously and they're like, "Hey, man, like, why are you saying that to people?" And my reply is just like, shut up.
Right. Oh man.
If you're taking yourself that seriously, it's like, come on. You gotta have some fun with it.
Right. So yeah.
What's looks like Dean's looking out his window again.
No, I'm trying to get these pics. But Norman, so okay, what would you suggest to folks as far as planning, coordination for? We got Dr. Kelly's just on the big camps. But as
Yeah.
far as seminars, what do you think needs to be done to have success?
You have to really plan, obviously, prior to. You've got to think about a lot of what Renee said, honestly, about the money and the funding, and see what you can cover and
I
be
was just
reasonable.
saying yes to making feel good. There's something really there.
To be reasonable about it. We didn't do a combination. Maybe next time we will. You decided to come down early, which was nice of you. That was really helpful. And then just setting the tone and
I
finding.
care and I love my students.
Yes, indeed. And what I did is I teamed up with one of our Piper Medusa Sea Lot for the Street brothers, Joe Lennon
Oh,
from Delaware, and Joe helped me coordinate. He brought some people up. I said,
yeah.
well, let's do this show because he and I had been training together. He would come up from Delaware when he had free time. I don't know exactly what he does, but his job has all kinds of odd hours.
Years are
Yeah,
difficult sometimes.
yeah, and it's hard to meet with him. So he come up, and I said, and then one day it just popped into my head. I said, why don't I just ask Dean if he wants to do a seminar, find out if it's cost effective.
Mhm.
And we thought it was, and then we said if we didn't get enough people, he and I would cover the back end of it. But now what Renee is saying makes a lot of sense. When I do
Especially
another
in
one,
advance, right?
yeah, yeah. We did a month in advance. And, at first it was a little slow, but we started getting people and met some cool people from, I'm in New Jersey.
Rich's
So
crew there.
Rich's crew and the other guys that came by now are friends are real good FMA guys,
Mm.
came out and man, it was a success. And Dean taught the whole plethora of blade tech, all its components. And it was great.
PJ Earl. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry if I gave that illusion, PJ, that I was a good guy. It's all facade.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just planning thing. Also places to eat, which is luckily around here there was some places within easy distances to get to grab some food.
Mm.
Things like that. You have to consider you're hosting. It's like a party. You're hosting. So got to host. You can't just. I knew a guy once. Believe it or not, you wouldn't know it. Look at me now, but I was Savat tour. I did Savat for years. I wound up getting the silver glove and becoming a monitor and professor. And there's one guy I know when he first threw a seminar, he threw it up in Trenton, and he put one of the world champions in this dingy little hotel in Trenton, New Jersey. And if you know
Oh,
Trenton,
wow.
yeah, he just didn't know what to do. The guy, he was a good guy. He didn't know what to do.
He just
He
didn't
put
know how to go about it. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Put Richard Sela, who was like a Sugar Ray Leonard of Savat, basically.
Mm.
Right. He actually was going to fight Benny Urquidez, and I don't know if this is true, but they said Benny bowed out of that fight. So I don't know, but anyway, you definitely have to be on top of your game and plan. You also need flyers and waivers for people. A lot of times people forget that, because this is not
Good
my
point.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
you
Yeah,
got to
make
have
sure
that,
and
right?
make sure that you can't just write up a waiver and just say sign this, everything is cool. Like there are legal. Like
yep,
listen, at the end of the day, waiver is just about as good as the paper that's printed on.
yep,
But you need to make sure that at least the legal jargon on it makes sense. You know, you can't just say, I'm not going to sue you if I get hurt or killed, right?
Right.
And like for me, I'll tell you this: like I taught a seminar in Jamaica, Queens once, and it was awesome because they had everything kind of planned out, and we didn't leave the school. They had it catered. They just brought a bunch of food in.
Hmm.
The guy asked, "Do I eat?" I said, "I'll eat anything. Don't worry about it." And at lunchtime, we ate. After the seminar, we ate, and then it was like off to where I was staying. Like they just had it all planned really well.
Yeah, you
And
know, it's funny. I was going to do that too. There's a really great deli right 2 doors down from where I'm sitting right now. I'm at the school right now, but they closed so early, and I didn't get to pre-plan that. But if we do another one, I'm going to do that because it's really good. It's easy. We can just bring it right over and set it up
what you
where
do
I'm
is
sitting.
tell everybody, like, listen, I'm going to cater it. If you want to have lunch with us, it's an extra $5, $10, whatever it is.
Yep.
And what it does,
That's a good idea.
what I always find, and what I absolutely hate, is when you go to a seminar and then they take the instructor and they push him away so he can have lunch with his cronies, right? And when you bring, like, and I don't know, let me rephrase that though, because when I did bring Guru Dan to town, I had to get him out of the way. Otherwise, he was getting mauled by people.
I was going to mention him. Yeah. Yep.
But when you're at a seminar and people realize you're just a human like they are, and they can actually interact with you, it makes the experience so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that last time I saw Guru Dan was right before the pandemic. He came to Tri-State Martial Arts, which is right over the bridge in PA.
Uh-huh.
And I got to, you know, I always with this, I just go to his seminars, man. You know, I just like him and like the vibe. Um, you know, but yeah, he was definitely much more people. Like he really wanted to embrace himself around people. I feel like as he's getting older, he's realizing that, you know, and you know, but yeah,
It was
I agree. I agree
it
with
was
you 100.
pretty
Percent
crazy with him because like I had to not just arrange, like we had to arrange the hotels and everything else, but you know with him, God, this is like weird fanboy thing that happens with some of the people that just they want to meet him no matter what. They feel entitled because they paid for the seminar, and then they have all these questions about Bruce Lee, and it's like, when did Bruce die? Like in the 70s? That's a long time ago, man. Just let it go, you know. Let the
Yeah,
man teach.
they
Let
can't
him bring
because you
them.
know what it is, Renee. It's proximity to Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not going to sit here and lie. When I first did my very first seminar with Guru Dan was in sometime in the late '80s, early '90s, early late '80s. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, to stand in the sun. Oh my god, oh my god. You know, I'd seen him in magazines and seen him in films and all kinds of things. And it was, you know, it's like meeting a movie star. After you go to a few of them, and the people who get, you know, certified under him, it's, you know, he's Guru Dan. You know,
Yeah.
so
I
but
never knew who Guru Dan was because I was Thai boxing at the time before I started getting into JKD. And then, you know, as time progresses, you find them out. And I went to a Larry Hartzell seminar. And to me, that was like the coolest thing that ever happened where this guy came up with a photograph of like Guru Dan, Bruce, Larry Hartzell, and a bunch of other people. And he had a lot of people already signed the picture, and he gave it to Larry, and Larry just grabbed it and just started staring at it. You could tell he was getting emotional about it, and to me, like that was the coolest JKD thing that ever happened to me. It was
yeah,
just like to witness that man just like reliving that picture, right?
yeah.
So that was really cool.
Larry, he's missed. He was great. He was funny.
That guy was a bone
Seminars.
crusher. I can't.
I know. I know. I know. One time, I think I had to pick up one of his bags and hand it to him, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry, big guy, I got it." And the bag was heavy. He must have had weights in it or something. I don't know.
We did I'm just going off topic a little bit. I was at a seminar with Larry, and this is like the second time I met him, and we're just doing like shoulder rolls and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, I like your energy. Come over here." And it's like rolling around, and you could feel like he was an oak, right? And then he's like, "This is how I throw somebody." It's like, and it's like a muppet. Like,
That's great.
so,
Yeah.
but he's one of those people that what I loved about him, he was approachable,
Mhm.
right? He didn't care who you were. You know, if you weren't a dickhead, he wasn't a dickhead. He was just like walk up and that's it. So no,
Yeah.
like I said, going back to the original topic for
For this
what you're
planning,
saying.
I mean, and really, we had a good group of guys, a great instructor, and it was great because what it starts to spawn here now is what I'm going to try to do is get these guys from New Jersey, even though it's a small state, there's a north, central, and south in our minds. It doesn't really exist, but so the guys from North Jersey and Central Jersey, I'm going to bring down here sometimes. I'm going to go up to with them sometimes, and we're going to work this stuff out. I'm just going to try to put a schedule together and work it out. What we do, we start immersing ourselves in all the blade tech modules. And actually, I have to really learn blade tech. That's my next one.
The best thing to do would
You got to
be,
get to this thing. If you
well, again, that's why I'm bringing it up, because we come back in the fall, I can introduce the banana.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the
now that Renee,
shimmering
so
banana. Yeah.
another thing when it comes to seminars, get everything that they expect in writing, because there's nothing worse than having someone come up and say, I expected this.
Yeah.
So even like when I first brought like Mark Denny up, I would say, how much is a seminar? When can you fly out? Are you open to having multiple flights? Because it lowers the price, obviously. Are you bringing up gear?
Mhm.
And I remember the first few seminars, I had pre-sold his gear, so when people showed up, it was already there, and he didn't have to do the transactions.
Good.
And also remember, if you're bringing someone from another country, make sure you do the calculation of what that money is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I brought a couple euros here, and it's like, oh, it's 1,500 euros, and then you're like, oh shit, that's like $3,000.
Well, what's really nice now too, if you're doing one of the pay apps, PayPal helps you figure it out. Like they do that. And yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to. I'm a musician too. We call it a rider. You get like a rider for the person, like
Yeah,
what they want. Now, if they go all Rolling Stones on you and they say, "Hey, man, I don't want to see any green M&Ms in that jar, or we're leaving," then
see you later.
yeah, exactly. But
Always have and have a plan B, because I'm not going to mention the person's name, but I had a high profile person come in, and the night before the seminar, or 2 nights before the seminar, they called. It's like, hey, I'm not feeling that great. Can we cancel? And I said, no.
yeah,
Unless you're dying, you're getting your ass on that plane. You're coming here, because I had people coming from all over Canada, and returning their money is not going to be good enough, right?
right.
And that's one thing also, that I literally have a contract with the people. When I used to bring more people in, I have a contract with people and tell them what the expectation is. And if they start asking like for exorbitant amounts of money, negotiate with them. Like, these
Yeah.
people, it's a business, right, for them.
Mhm.
So, like for me, I never charge a fixed fee for my seminars. What I do is I tell people, take care of my flight and accommodations, and whatever is made at the seminar, we split it 50-50.
Yeah.
So it's an incentive for that person to get more people in, because there's people out there. It's like, well, I only want like $400 or whatever. They'll
Right.
only work for that $400. It's like, I'm covered. Cool. See you later.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
trying to make as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, that's definitely a way to do it. And I think the partnering up is a good way to do it too. Like if there's
yeah,
two
partnering
people
up
schools,
yes,
is
we're
really
not sharing the sole liability, all
right.
the work.
Yeah. Because and I got that from the seminars I went to at Tri-State, because whenever they bring Guru Dan out, it was like a guy from Maryland. It was like three people, including Jeff Jones, and they would all pull together to make. And Jeff had the biggest gym, so they would do it. They would do it there. I mean, there's some gyms that it was the one in New York that those guys just have a ton of money, so they can do everything on their own. But
yep.
but
That's a great.
yeah,
That's a great point. Because when I used to do a lot of seminars in Toronto, one of the gyms that I taught at, I didn't ask for money to teach there, but I asked for them to give me the facility when I brought people in.
right.
So for me, it's like I made money off privates and whatever else.
Right.
But at the same token, it's whenever I needed the space, it was part of my agreement with them.
Right.
So it just made things a lot easier.
And the other thing too is have a backup facility. So I did have a backup facility
Good point.
in a town called Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We're in Mount Holly, but I had a backup facility if it blew up. The Wing Chun school, that a real good Wing Chun guy down here, and you know, my student who kind of like my Piper's student or whatever, she trains with him. So, and she had asked him if just on the fly, she said, "Hey, could you ever think of letting people book your studio on a Sunday?" And he said, "Oh, you know, that's a good idea." So he was up for it. And I've known the guy for years. I haven't talked to him for a long time. So that was my backup if we blew out. Because Dean will tell you, this space was small. We had like maybe 15 people, and that was pretty packed in this little space, you know.
But it worked out. I mean, like, yeah, if there were more, it would have been kind of. But
Yeah.
I thought it worked. You know?
Yeah, it definitely
I
worked.
remember everybody I was able to see and talk. You know what I mean? So you know,
Right.
I like the more intimate. I don't really care. You know, having 100 people there and you can't see.
Yeah, well, Dean's also a close talker, right? So he likes that kind of stuff. Just like you're right in your face.
I didn't want to mention that.
Yeah, but that yeah, but
wait,
that
did he ask you? Did he ask you to call him Grandmaster as well?
No, never.
Oh, okay.
I missed out on that. The joy of that.
This is bullshit. He's like this.
That's for you.
I guess I'm the only one.
That's for you to do, Renee. Yeah.
Well, I just figured
I don't deserve this.
Country,
Another thing that you're talking about was space.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that the space is going to be small or smaller, decide how many people you want to have there.
Yeah.
And then divide that by the money that you need to bring people in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And add a couple bucks just in case. Because again, and also make sure you know the rules in that gym or facility, because I may have broken a wall at a couple of places in the past.
Yeah.
And then I got to bill to fix it, right?
Right. Well, luckily, this is a place I teach some real basic beginner FMA. So I'm pretty much covered there, and just start teaching a little mini beginner boxing class for these guys. Learn how to keep their hands up and their chin tucked. Basically, just the basics, you know.
What's the name of the gym?
It's called Ludus Academy of Martial Arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you teach there how many days a week?
I only teach really one day a week, and then I drop in on Saturdays, like informally. I work with a couple of guys, and that's when we're starting to do like the Piper and Medusa's stuff. Yeah. So.
And if someone wants to like reach you to train with you, like how would they reach you?
They can reach me on my Facebook page under Norman Taylor. You can see my mug here, so I mean, I guess we can put a link. We can put a link.
Yeah, actually, if you send it to me, I could definitely put it in the comment section.
Okay, yeah, that's the easiest way to reach me. And then if they want to drop down, and you know, I know there's some people in the area that are. Next time we do it, there's a couple other martial artists that I know. I got to push them a little bit, but I'm gonna try to get them here because I think they'd be a good addition. And once they see the methodology, because the method, man, let me just say this. I know this is off topic too, but this methodology, particularly Piper, but Medusa as well, and all the other stuff. I mean, it's just so refreshing after years of me in the '70s doing this. Then
because it's so tactic based.
Yeah, it's just so refreshing. The last time I had something like this is when I worked with James Keating back in the '90s. You know,
who's that?
James Keating.
I'm just kidding.
I thought you didn't hear me.
What else? You know what else it is? It's also nice not to train with a bunch of dickheads. It's nice to just go into a place. You know, like I said, when I first met Dean, I was like, and he was saying how he grabs, disarms and stuff, and I was like, this guy. And then he did it, and I was like, holy shit! But there's no ego about it. Right?
Yeah,
there wasn't any haha, now bow to me.
Yeah.
That happened when I got my certificate.
Just have fun and train, dude. Like honestly, just train. It's like I'm 64, man, and I'm.
You don't look a day over 63, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that.
I was going to say 62, but okay.
I'm moisturized, but But anyway, yeah,
I used
just
to drink a lot, so now I'm actually 65.
there you go, right. But that's the whole thing, man. You know, these guys, they just take themselves too seriously, and they forget that anybody can get got. You know,
You
like
know, hey, listen, I had some contact with some of like
right.
uh, the Piper guys in the past, and like the mentality was very different. Like people like me just don't last very long, just because of my personality.
Mhm.
And like some of the stuff that we're training or doing is not. It's well, you're learning how to use a blade to take someone out.
Mhm.
You got to keep that lighthearted to a certain degree, because if you let that get into your head,
Not healthy.
and then you start like acting that way. You know, like some of the guys from South Africa and like that I've had contact with who really dislike me, even though I wasn't part of their system.
Mhm.
Like they just like you don't know what it's like, and we could do this, and we'll kill you like that, and it's like just shut the fuck up. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
dude,
Right.
it gets ridiculous, man. And like, I mean,
Not
that's a whole nother talk.
oh yeah, hell yeah. And actually, it isn't because I'll tell you what. I have in my seminars when I had the posters, I would tell people that I will remove you if you do whatever, like if you become a liability and you're not getting your money back.
Yeah.
Because I've had like I remember one guy who came to one of my seminars, and he was like a mid to high skilled person, and he just started to beating the hell out of everybody. And I said, hey man, like these are beginners. You got to relax.
Mhm.
And it kept going, kept going, kept going. And at lunch, I said, you know what? I need you to leave. And I knew the guy.
Mhm.
I was like, because you're taking away from number one, the instruction, and people are becoming hesitant. Like I can see in their eyes, like, I don't think I want to do this. So you're not really helping me with this. So,
That's not
pack your
Yeah.
bag
healthy.
and get out.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. You guys mentioned this and other things, and I know Renee, you talked about it. Fighters, like just because you learn how to fight doesn't make you a fighter. I'm sorry. Like it's
Yeah.
like, like I boxed and I compete and stuff. I don't consider myself a fighter. Do you know what I mean? Like in the purest sense. Like we like these boxers, like like George. I'm thinking of George Foreman right now because we just passed. But I mean,
That's, yeah,
I can
that's,
I can fight. I can fight. I feel like I can handle myself, but I don't. You know what I mean? It's just like a different mindset. You know?
yeah, I'm not a fan when people say, or they're like, here's the warrior and this, that, and the other. It's like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just
no
hobbyists.
thanks.
At the end of the day, we're hobbyists.
Right.
Simple.
Simple as that.
We're
Yep.
not going to war. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves, doing something that's interesting to us, that appeals to us, to be around like-minded people. But at the end of the day, it is a hobby.
Right. Right. And that's the thing.
And so if you were like thinking anything else, like some of the stuff that goes on in the countries and they're making this and this, I mean, like, and they're
I love
doing
when
their
those guys
clothes.
post those, they post those memes like inside you, there are two wolves. One is gray and the other one's black. And they're both idiots. It's like, shut up. Like,
Yeah, dude, yeah, like this place I'm teaching now is such a nice community-based place. We don't have any killers here. We don't need them. I don't need a killer here. You know, I
and
just
even if and you know what? I've always told people like real bad boys move in silence, right? They don't go around telling you how tough they are. They
yeah,
don't need to.
I tell you, man, some of the most.
If they got to check you or clip your wings, they will, and that's the end of it. And those are the people I like to hang out with, because those are the real ones that will get you. I just realized it's super dark in here. Look like I'm in the Blair Witch Project. Hold on.
I think you touched me turn live, but it's so true with that. Like the guys that like, whoa, like one of my instructors, David Gould, like no social media presence, quiet, like just like, I found the ones who, man, that don't boast their own thing and they're just off the radar, man. Those are the guys who are like, and you just know, man, you just feel it. And like when you're in there, and David Gould, man, is one of those guys. But you just see all the fluffing, like an FMA discussion. I see it literally every
hmm
single day, man.
yeah,
And yeah,
I got two funny stories for you. Like,
Yeah, 'cause
one
I got to
time-
run in a bit.
Okay.
no, you're going to listen to my story.
I promise. I will forward you the time of listening to your story. I will.
So, real quick, one was at a seminar, and this guy went up to this man, and he's like, "Hey, man, I don't know if you ever done this before. Make sure you hold your stick like this, and you do this and this." And the guy's like, "Okay, well, thank you very much." He was talking to Philip Jelena, like here's a veteran of like 30 years of bikini tours. This guy's telling him that. Or one of our guests who, this guy was telling him how much of a badass he is and how he could have been a combat vet and blah, blah, blah. And he's like talking to Adam, right? And I was like, you have no idea who you're talking to. Just like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Because I like seeing people uncomfortable sometimes.
Right. Right.
Awesome. Hey, Norman, we appreciate it. Thank you for doing
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys. Good.
Oh.
Guys are doing God's work with these podcasts.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
People say they really enjoy me in this. It's and Dean as well. I'm just sorry.
But yes. And
yeah, Renee, you keep believing that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be humble.
Yeah, I know. And you're doing all right. I guess so. If I put my thing in a comment on it, I don't know this app very well. I guess I can just put it on.
Actually, no. Actually, you can do that. Matter of fact, right when I end this, right on Facebook, put it in there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
All right, I'll be in touch. Guys. Check out the group message for Zulu. It looks like this Saturday may be the first one. So
good. Yeah, got it together. Got my tennis ball club and
it's the best one. So when I'm going to go over like what you guys got to do for within the 2 weeks.
Dean, is this open to everybody? Are you going to open this up as?
It's open to everybody except if your name starts with first name starts with R and your last name ends with starts with C.
If your initials are Renee.
It's too cold to move an African stick up there, man. You can't. It's too cold.
If your first name doesn't start with an R and your last name doesn't start with a C, man, you're good to go.
Oh, that's a lot of people out there.
You know what I got for a shield? I forgot I had this. I think Guru Salidi used to sell these get these padded shields. I forgot I had this thing. I've had it for years, and it looks like it's going to work, man.
If you get a good oblong focus mitt, like I have some Grant focus mitts, are on the bigger side,
right?
Like that, it's like a little, but it'll work.
Yeah.
The thing is having that handle to hold the.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it.
I know, but that's another program that's coming out next spring, Renee. So
the drinking horn.
Renee's excited.
Let's get through the banana one first.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta go. I'm getting summoned.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right.
I look forward to meeting you one day, man.
Yeah, me too, man. Don't kill me with them sticks, though. I got hit by a dog brother aficionado once. I cried.
I'll just kill you with my humor.
All right, that'll work. All right. See you guys. All right, bye.
All right, now wraps up 10. Who we actually I'm not sure who we are bringing on.
So I'm working on the jousters. But I thought it might be a cool show again to see if we can bring Eric back for like a part 2. That'd be nice.
Let me know, because right now I don't have anybody. So if you want to do Eric next Wednesday, let's do it. But my ongoing list is Badger, Steve Grody, I talked to, Maya, her new book, Ray Floro, Brian Canada's on there, Jeff. But yeah, if
Maya writes books.
What's that?
Maya writes books.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, let me talk to Eric, because otherwise, if he can't, then I'll just go down the list.
And in November we'll do the official release for Che Kita.
Yeah, I have to iron out some kinks and all that. I got level 1, level 2 done. As you know, I'm a big 3 levels. That's kind of my thing. So
I'm learning not to plantain my feet.
Yes. All right, I gotta run, man. All right.
See you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.